The arrival. It began on a Tuesday, an ordinary, forgettable Tuesday, when the sky over the Pacific Ocean cracked open like glass under stress. First came the silence. Not peace, but the kind of oppressive silence that felt like the world had taken a breath and forgot to exhale. Birds stopped mid-flight. Ocean waves froze like a paused recording. All electronics in a 1,000-kilometer radius went dark. Then the ship appeared, if it could even be called that. It was a black monolith in the sky, floating without propulsion, casting no shadow and reflecting no light. 20 kilometers long, shaped like a spear but without any visible features. No blinking lights. No markings. No sound. For the first 6 hours, the world watched. Satellites shifted to track it. Military jets circled but didn't dare approach. Every government on Earth sent encrypted messages to one another, none admitting what it was. Theories bloomed like wildfires: first contact, a doomsday weapon, an alien ark, even a god. But it didn't attack. Instead, it opened. A single beam of silver-blue light extended from the ship's underside and touched the ocean's surface. From that beam descended a shape, humanoid in structure, but easily over 8 feet tall. Its limbs were slender but dense with subtle muscle. Its skin shimmered like molten metal under moonlight. No mouth. No visible eyes. Just a glimmering, motionless figure, standing upright atop the waves like they were solid ground. It didn't move. It didn't speak. For 3 days, the being remained there, silent and still as a statue. The world's militaries erected barricades around the impact zone. Warships floated in tense formations. Scientists and linguists huddled behind bulletproof glass in mobile labs. No signal came from the being. No scans worked. Nuclear weapons were armed but not deployed. And then came the question that no one could answer. Who's going to approach it? Governments pointed fingers. Presidents refused to sacrifice one of their own. No one dared risk being the first human to make contact. No one, except Elias Kale. Elias wasn't a diplomat. He wasn't even a renowned scientist. He was a former combat linguist turned recluse, living in the remote forests of Montana after losing his family in a drone strike gone wrong, a mistake the government never admitted. He'd seen war, heard a dozen languages die on his tongue, and watched trust collapse like dust between nations. He volunteered not because he believed in peace. He volunteered because he had nothing left to lose. At first, the military laughed. But when no one else stepped forward, no president, no general, no Nobel laureate, they accepted. Elias was flown on a stealth carrier jet to the Pacific Exclusion Zone, briefed by terrified men in uniforms who had already written his eulogy. "You sure about this?" asked Commander Rowe, looking Elias up and down. He was lean, mid-30s, with a deep scar across his cheek, a man who had clearly lived on the edge. Yet even he looked uneasy. Elias shrugged. "If it wanted us dead, we'd be dead. This thing is waiting. The only question is, for who?" Rowe hesitated. "And you think it's waiting for you?" Elias turned to the horizon, where the alien still stood unmoving in the mist. "Not me. But someone has to be first." The world held its breath as Elias stepped onto the specially constructed floating walkway leading out to the alien figure. Every news channel, every screen, every phone was watching. Billions of eyes followed him with a mixture of hope and terror. He walked slowly. His boots echoed softly on the polymer platform. The sea was unnaturally calm, as if the laws of nature were suspended around the being. As he got closer, he could feel it, not heat or cold, but a pressure in the air, like walking into the eye of a storm. Then he stood before it. 8 feet of shimmering alien matter. No weapons. No movement. Elias looked up. "I don't know if you can hear me," he said quietly, "but I'm here. Just me. Just human. Nothing." Elias took a step closer. "You've come a long way. So have we. We've killed and built and destroyed and dreamed. I don't know what you are, but I want to understand." The alien moved. A ripple passed through its body like light on water. Its head tilted, and then, without warning, a wave of soundless force knocked Elias off his feet. Not a weapon, not pain, a surge of memory. He saw stars, not imagined but real. A map of the galaxy from a perspective no human had ever known. He saw civilizations rise and fall, not in decades or centuries, but in pulses of time that felt like breathing. He saw us, humans, like fireflies in the dark. Fierce, fragile, reckless, beautiful. And then the vision vanished. Elias lay on the platform, gasping. The alien extended a hand, long, 3-fingered, glowing faintly. Elias hesitated for only a moment, and then reached out. Flesh met energy, and the sky ignited. The black monolith began to shift. Patterns danced across its surface. Lights emerged. Not weapons, symbols. A message. And Elias understood just one word from the memory flood burning in his mind. Chosen. The broadcast ended there. Not because the cameras died, but because the governments cut the feed. What followed would change everything. But that was only the beginning. The contact. Elias Kale was unconscious for 3 days after touching the alien. No wounds, no burns, no visible trauma. Just gone. As if his mind had been unplugged from his body and flown through a cosmic storm. He awoke inside a military field tent aboard the carrier vessel Artemis Dawn, orbiting just outside the restricted zone. A dozen cameras were pointed at him. Biomonitors beeped in frantic patterns. A woman in a sleek gray coat leaned over him, Dr. Lyra Holden, Earth's top xenoneurologist. Her voice was sharp, clinical. "You're awake. Good. What did it say to you?" Elias blinked. "It didn't say anything. It showed me." "Showed you what?" He sat up slowly. "Everything. The universe. Time. Their kind. And ours." Dr. Holden frowned. "You mean the alien species?" Elias shook his head. "No. The Keepers." He tried to explain, but words failed. Human language wasn't built to hold what he'd seen. Galactic histories encoded in emotion, civilizations etched in memory, wars that spanned dimensions, and peace that came at the price of extinction. The alien, now dubbed Subject, Echo 1, was not a diplomat. It wasn't even a leader. It was a messenger, a vessel for communication across species, built to survive space and time without dying or forgetting. The Keepers, its creators, were an ancient race long vanished. Their message was simple. Humanity has reached the threshold. The test begins now. When Dr. Holden demanded proof, Elias turned toward one of the mirrored walls of the medical bay and raised a hand. The mirror fogged, then flashed with shimmering glyphs. Alien symbols. "Those symbols weren't in the vision," Elias said. "They're coming from me. I don't know how, but the contact, it rewired my mind. I understand them now." Panic spread in government chambers across the world. Elias was quickly labeled both a hero and a threat. Scientists wanted to dissect his brain. Politicians wanted to parade him as a PR miracle. Military leaders argued whether to contain him or declare him compromised. But none of them could deny what followed next. The alien ship moved. Its spear-like structure twisted into an arc, projecting a beam into Earth's upper atmosphere. The sky shimmered, and from the clouds descended a second alien. But this one wasn't alone. Behind it came dozens of smaller vessels, unmanned, hovering silently across major cities: New York, Tokyo, Lagos, Mumbai, Istanbul. They didn't attack. They simply hovered, pulsing with the same symbols Elias had seen. And then came the change. Across the planet, certain humans, only a few hundred at first, began experiencing dreams, visions, seizures. Not random people. Artists, scientists, children with neural disorders, veterans with trauma. All of them, like Elias, were receiving. The aliens weren't speaking in words or data. They were activating minds attuned to emotion, memory, empathy, to understanding not through logic, but through connection. Elias, now dubbed the First Touched, became the translator between the alien messengers and humankind. A global summit was held in Geneva. Elias stood before world leaders, wearing a simple black jacket, eyes glowing faintly in low light, a side effect of the contact, along with the uncanny ability to speak in bursts of code-like rhythm no human had ever heard before. "The Keepers left these messengers to guide younger species," he told the council. "Not with power, but with choice. We are being judged, not for our strength, but our soul." A Russian general leaned forward. "And if we fail this test?" Elias didn't blink. "Then the signal stops. The messengers leave. The map goes dark. And humanity remains alone." "A test of what, exactly?" the American delegate asked. Elias looked up. "Whether we're ready to become part of something greater, or remain a danger to everything around us." Within weeks, two sides emerged on Earth. One saw the contact as a gift, a chance for unification, for transcending war and division. These were scientists, peacekeepers, philosophers, and a new generation born with strange sensitivities. They called themselves the Harmonic Accord. The other saw it as manipulation, an invasion masked as enlightenment. Politicians, corporate giants, and military hawks feared the loss of human autonomy. They called themselves preservers of Earth. And caught between them was Elias. On the 40th day since the arrival, the alien known as Echo 1 began to fade. Its energy was dispersing, its mission complete. Elias returned to the platform where it first stood. Cameras rolled again. The world watched. He knelt before the being, hand extended. "Will they come?" he asked. The alien pulsed once, and a voice, not sound, but presence, entered his mind. "Only if you ask them. The invitation is yours to send." Elias looked into the sky. He could see the faint outline of the stars beyond the clouds, and somewhere among them, he knew, the Keepers waited, not as gods, not as conquerors, but as witnesses. He stood, looked into the camera drone overhead, and spoke the words that would echo across history. We are ready. Come to us, not to rule, but to walk beside us." The alien dissolved into stardust, and the stars began to respond.